One thing that I really like about chassis systems is that they're just plug and play. You don't need to order extra stuff. Some other methods have hidden costs that only reveal themselves once you start adding components like bottom, go to a smith, get a glass bed, and so on and so forth. With a chassis, you just get it and you go to the range. There's no extra costs, which can be very, very expensive. And those hidden costs are preventative for some people. So I want to be able to take what I've got, plug it in, and go to the range and not worry about whether I missed or didn't get to order something. I can put things onto them that I couldn't really easily put onto other systems. For example, if I wanted a night vision rail, I could attach that to the front of my chassis and equip it with a night vision mount or a thermal scope or something like that. That's for this particular. If I wanted to do that with this barreled action, although the head over bore won't allow me to put this, I'd need higher rings. I've got the same thing that'll essentially put that rail over, and I could C-clamp it, I could put whatever I wanted to put in front of my scope onto here, and this adds weight. So I can attach things to the top of the rifle chassis. I can insert weight systems internally into the chassis so that I can increase the weight, change the balance, and customize it to the demands that I have. I can add weights to the buttstock, and I can add external weights to the outside of the system to balance it and increase or decrease the weight on demand at home without having to do anything really fancy. So that modularity is also an upside to the modern chassis systems. Another one is that there's a sub-market for stuff that you can buy and equip onto the rails that are now a part of these. I can add little thumb doodads, I can add bipods to those chassis, I can add barricade stops, and even mount bags to the front of those chassis such that I can equip it with anything that I want, as long as there's an attachment system that'll allow me to attach it to that rail or the side or the top or whatever it is that's a part of the rifle chassis that I've got. And so that modularity allows me to tailor my particular system to the demands that I might have, which is a huge upside. But there's always that person that wants to go against the grain and they say, I like stocks. You go on with your bad self. The other is, I like to bed stuff anyway. Then rock on, dude. Another argument is, I don't like bells and whistles and don't want to attach all sorts of stuff to my chassis. Preach! I don't like the recoil impulse and the vibrato that occurs when I shoot compared to my stock. I don't even know what that means. They must be like a sommelier or something. In fact, if you had an attachment system, you could clip on an espresso maker. Now, these are all XLR because I am an XLR shooter, but I have seen comparable results with MDT chassis, and I could say that in terms of the reliability, both of those MDT and XLR are producing, tip of the spear chassis systems with modularity, adaptability, and repeatability. Because not everybody does the same thing, it's nice to know that you can increase and decrease weight, change the balance, configure it to the demands that you need in the field, and really make it work for you. Now out there's a lot of other chassis that aren't produced with the same level of care, and a lot of people have to bed those. So you lose a little bit of that. You need to do a little bit of research on your own, but I can tell you that the MDT and the XLR chassis are remarkable in their ability to not only become modular, but be repeatable and functional in the field. This chassis and this chassis and this chassis have won me trophies, so I trust them in the activities that I use them in, and will continue to do that without question. But I do like to test things to make sure that they do the things that I expect them to do before I run out into the field, so I would encourage you to do the same thing. get your system and test it to the demands that you have, and make sure that that's consistent and reproducible before you go out and do it when it matters.